meeting, regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District to order, January 22nd, 2018 at 6:30. Augustine, was the meeting properly posted?
It was.
It was. Do we have a quorum?
We do. All are present except for Mr. Albert Sharp.
All right. Turn the time over to Dr. Gorka.
Vice President Poppy, school board members, Mr. O'Brien. The opening exercise for the January 22nd, 2018 board meeting will be presented by students from the Robert E. Lee High School, STEM Academy, and Robotics team. We will begin the opening ceremonies with the prayer led by Ricky Clem. Everyone please rise.
If you'll bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time that we can all come together in the best interest of our school district. I want to thank you for all the parents, all the students, all the administrators, faculty, and staff that are present tonight. And we pray that they have safe travel home when they leave tonight. We ask for your wisdom and guidance as we make decisions that shape the future of our school district. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
The pledges will be led by Chris Garcia and Anthony Manligas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. During the presentation, students will highlight the robotics program, which includes last year's successes as well as this year's challenges. With us today, we have Excel Amador from Sterling High School, Austin Goodman from Goose Creek Memorial High School, Titus Atongmalaki from Robert E. Lee STEM Academy, Andrew Beck from Sterling High School, Pasi Cantu from Robert E. Lee STEM Academy, Andy Flores from the Robert E. Lee STEM Academy, Kagan Knox from Impact Early College High School, and we have an alum with us, Adolfo Amador, who's attending Rice University. These students are under the direction of Keith Cummings and Principal Dr. Joe Farnsworth.
Hi, you guys. We're 1255 Volunteers. My name is Andrew Beck. I've been a part of this team for 4 years now. I'm vice president, and we're going to just do a presentation of a robot. Last year's game was called First Steamworks. The point of the game was to get these gears and put them on the beds. We did really well. We started at Lone Star Central, and we ended up 5th place overall.
There we go. We started at Lone Star Central, and we ended up 5th place overall, and we got into an alliance team, and we made it all the way to semifinals, and then got booted out to get into finals. But we did really well, and we were super excited about it. We got the Creativity Award while we were there, which is a robot award, so we were very happy about it. After that, we went to Lone Star North, and there we kicked butt. We did amazing. We ended up undefeated throughout all of qualifications, and we were first place ranked. We got to be a team captain, and we picked an amazing team out of Texas, and it was a milestone for us. So we were undefeated all the way up until the last 2 matches, which we lost because of a multitude of technical problems that happened. But because of our successfulness in that competition, we were able to move on to championships, where we did well at. And then we also participated in the UIL event. We also gained our ability to do that there.
So I'm going to explain what our robot does. Our robot's name is Nemo, and we're going to blame the name on Adolfo, okay? And then, so what it does is one of the ways to make points in the game is we pick up the gears, which Excel is going to demonstrate. we managed to pick up about 5 of these per game and put them on this peg here, which was then pulled up into what was called the airship by one of the human players, which was called the pilot. But that's not the end of our capabilities. So at the end of each match, there was a buzzer, and we knew at that moment a rope was let down, and we had to climb. We got it down to 2.5 seconds to climb this rope, which is one of the fastest climbs. So our game changes every year. This game is totally different than what we have this year. So this year, this was called First Steamworks. This year it's called First Power Up. Instead of gears, we have to pick up these cubes and place them on these basically teeter-totters to make sure they are weighted towards our side. Each second they're on our side, we get a point. So our robot this year is going to look totally different from this robot. So I'm going to pass it over to Adolfo now.
Hello, I am an alumni. My name is Adolfo Amador. I'm a current freshman at Rice University on a full scholarship. So this program has been a benefit to me. I have met mentors from NASA, ACE, Dooley Tackleberry, Exxon, a bunch of different industries. And I've gotten opportunities to go and intern at NASA last summer. And that was because of the various mentors and aid that we get through this program. So it has definitely been a benefit. And we have other alumni who have come and helped us before. Brian Gustin, right now he works at Covestro. So he's, I guess, a success story. And Cameron Jackson, he's working with a startup company right now. So throughout the years, this program has helped a lot of people get opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. First-hand engineering things, such as being able to model parts out of CAD. So I drew this on a computer yesterday. Took me about an hour. And this will go on this year's robot to support the chassis. So we're integrating a bunch of different technology. This is 3D printed on ABS plastic. And so this program has been a benefit to me and to the future engineers, and that's kind of its purpose. So I guess I'm a little bit of a success story, and I love coming back and mentoring. So, yep, that's my little spiel.
Well, January 2018 is School Board Recognition Month, a great time to focus on the crucial role an elected Board of Trustees plays in our communities and schools. The theme of this year's School Board Appreciation Month is Helping Kids Soar to Success, which sums up the work you do as a team on behalf of our students throughout the year. You are extraordinary people who voluntarily tackle the enormous job of governing the school district. Your actions and decisions affect the present and future lives of our children. Our boardroom is brightened this evening by posters made by students on every campus who want to say thank you to our Board of Trustees for your service and support. Let's take a moment to give our students a round of applause for their heartfelt decorations in the boardroom tonight. With us tonight is Elsa Mendoza, Community Liaison representing the Office of State Senator Sylvia Garcia, who could not be here with us this evening. Oh, okay. But who wanted to honor our Board of Trustees with a proclamation. Let's welcome Elsa Mendoza.
Excuse me everyone for running a little late here, but on behalf of Senator Sylvia Garcia, I'm sorry, can you hear me? Sorry. On behalf of Senator Sylvia Garcia, I wanted to proclaim that the Senate of the State of Texas hereby commends the Board of Trustees of the Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District on their hard work and dedication, and joins Texans across the state in celebrating the January of 2018 as the School Board Recognition Month, and hereby proclaims and certifies the proclamation that was adopted. And thank you so much, and she apologizes for not being able to be here with us today.
Also, we would like to welcome Baytown Mayor Pro Tem Laura Alvarado to the podium to say a few words and present a proclamation in honor of School Board Appreciation Month.
Thank you, Dr. Duarte. Good evening, school board and guests. I'm so happy to be here to honor a governing board of a district that grows giants. So thank you for having me. School Board Recognition Month. Whereas the mission of public schools is to meet the diverse educational needs of all children and to engage, inspire, and empower them to be complete, productive contributors to a democratic society in an ever-changing world. And whereas local school board members are committed to children and believe that all children can be successful learners and that best education is tailored to the individual needs of the child. And whereas local school board members work closely with parents, educational professionals, and other community members to create the educational vision we all want for our students. And whereas local school board members are responsible for ensuring the structure that provides a solid foundation for our school system, and whereas local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for communicating the needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectations to the district. Now, therefore, on behalf of Mayor Stephen Don Carlos, as the Mayor Pro Tem of the city and the Mayor of the city of Baytown, Texas, do hereby proclaim January 18th as School Board Recognition Month in Baytown and urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members in working with them to mold an education system that meets the needs of today's and tomorrow's children. Thank you.
Sometimes, while helping students soar to success, it can get a little breezy. At your seat is a small token of appreciation, a windbreaker presented to you with gratitude from the students and staff at Goose Creek. Thank you for the personal time and effort you give to help students in our district reach their fullest potential. And I'm sure you enjoyed your dinner tonight, which was prepared by students in the Culinary Arts program under the direction of Tina Andrade and Rex Miller. And I asked the students to come in and be recognized. Let's give them a round of applause. Additionally, Goose Creek CISD would like to honor our 17-18 Board of Trustees for their dedication and support of our students, staff, and administration. We thank the Board of Trustees for their accomplishments and continuous efforts on behalf of Goose Creek and would like to place a book in each school in honor of our board members. Some examples of the books being placed include Carver Elementary, The Day the Crayons Came Home. At Cedar Bayou Junior School, There Will Be Bears. Sterling High School, The Outsiders 50th Anniversary Exclusive Collector's Edition. Board members, you have a complete listing of books and schools in your packets. Next, for recognition, we will be recognizing our career and technical education students who represented the district at the Texas FFA Leadership Development Event Competition and students competing in the Association of Texas Photography Fall Contest. Renee Dillon, our CTE director, will be calling up our students.
Good evening. Goose Creek CISD offers many opportunities for students to exhibit the knowledge and skills they learn through in their classes through the career and technical student organizations. One of these organizations, the FFA organization, makes a positive difference in the lives of students by developing their potential for premier leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education and a competitive environment that encourages students to build their leadership abilities and technical skills. The Texas FFA is the nation's largest state FFA association with a current membership of over 119,000 members. That tells you how hard and competitive the competitions become. FFA programs teach skills in leadership, career development, and personal growth. This year, we are proud to announce that Reagan Richard competed at the Texas FFA Leadership Competition in the Green Hand Creed Speaking Competition. To qualify, she placed first in the FFA District 6 competition and second in the FFA Area 3 competition. Reagan is under the supervision of Lawrence Richard, the lead FFA teacher at Sterling High School and also Reagan's dad. She is actually a student at Impact Early College High School under Principal Laura Reyes. Laura, are you out there? There she is, way back in the back. The Association of Texas Photography Instructors provides information and resources to teachers and students who work with photography in art, journalism, and CTE. Annually, they sponsor a fall competition that includes a variety of categories, including video photography. The 2017 ATPI competition had more than 6,800 entries from 87 schools from across 7 different states. This year, the CTE department is proud to recognize the following students and their Career Center teacher, Mr. Rick Morris, for their outstanding achievements. Desiree Barrios. Desiree is a senior at Goose Creek Memorial High School, and she won second place with her film, My Culture. Again, her teacher is Mr. Rick Morris, and Christy Spites, academic dean, is back in the back as well from Goose Creek Memorial. We also have Cody Walker, a senior at Goose Creek Memorial High School, who won first place with his film, Second Chance Industries. also from Goose Creek Memorial, we have Brandon Llewellyn, a senior at Goose Creek Memorial who won honorable mention with his film, Another Second Chance. And Brandon, I'm going to ask you to stay right there. Brandon, come back. Because Brandon also won first place in the advanced comedic short film with his film Overgirl. We also have with us Julian Lobach. And he was one of the actors in both of Brandon's films and was a major contributor this year. All right, so if you are a parent of one of these students, if you could, or a relative, could you please stand? I know there's a lot of people standing in the back, so maybe you need to wave a little bit. Thank you.
Ms. Dillon, I have a question. Is there any way we could maybe get copies of their films so we can...
Yes, actually, if you go to Vimeo, because you have the list with the names of their videos, you go to vimeo.com, you can actually put their video name in the search box, and it will pop right up. I can look for get the links for you if you like.
That would be great.
If you want to see them, yes, you can just go pop it in their search box.
Thank you so much.
Next, we're going to recognize our top attendance for the third 6 weeks. Our top elementary is Highlands Elementary School. They had 95.99% attendance. And representing Highlands are Principal Edward Villanueva, students Bert Dillo, 2nd grader, Giselle Valdovinos, 3rd grader, Hank Barrientos, 4th grader, and Amber Joseph, 5th grader. Come on down, guys. Our second place elementary is Victoria Walker Elementary School, had a 95.95 perfect attendance, and representing Victoria Walker are their principal, Monica Juarez, and students Sarisha Husaro, 1st grader, Jared Abonza, 1st grader, Austin Reno, 2nd grade, and Tensley Reno, 5th grade. Our top junior school is Gentry Junior School with a 95.96% attendance, and representing Gentry are our assistant principal, Sandra Christopher, and we have Alec Taysar, an 8th grader, and Caroline Wells, 8th grade. Our top high school, again, is Robert E. Lee High School with a 93.85% attendance. With us today from Robert E. Lee, our principal, Joe Farnsworth. We have their academic dean, Kim Bernard Fox. We have Annalise Lopez, student body president, and Clarissa Garza, student body vice president. The Scholar Athlete Award is presented to athletes who are involved in varsity sports. These students demonstrate leadership and or exemplary performance in team athletics and in the classroom, as well as participate in community service. Coach Mulvaney will be recognizing our January Scholar athletes.
Thank you, Dr. Duarte. Vice President Poppy, Board of Trustees, and Mr. O'Brien, it is my honor and my privilege to introduce our January Scholar athletes. We have two awesome individuals. Our first individual is a basketball player from Sterling High School. His name is Cyrus Akers. Cyrus, will you come on out? Yeah, watch out for that TV there, Cyrus. Cyrus is under the direction of Coach Greg Smith, who's back there, wave Coach Smith, and Principal Nathan Chaddick. Cyrus is seniors in the top 10% of his class of 609. He is a 4-year athlete. Cyrus is also involved in orchestra and water polo. Coach Smith said, "We believe that Cyrus demonstrates the qualities and characteristics that come along with being a scholar athlete in Goose Creek. Cyrus has never had a write-up, nor has been in trouble with any teachers. He truly is a model student that is a great example for other scholar athletes." Cyrus Akers. Clarence, if you want to come on up. Awesome. Our second January Scholar athlete is a girls soccer player at Robert E. Lee. Her name is Clarissa Garza. Clarissa, come on up. Clarissa is under the direction of Coach Jason Riffey. Right there, Coach Riffey. There you go. And Principal Dr. Joe Farnsworth, who was up here earlier, but you can wave again. Awesome. Clarissa, a senior, this is awesome, ladies and gentlemen. This definitely deserves a round of applause, is currently number 2 in her class of 352 students. She is a 3-year varsity letterman and a senior captain. She is also the vice president of the Student Council, is a member of the National Honor Society as a project coordinator, and is a member of ADVID and Interact Club. Where do you find the time, Clarissa? Where do you find the time? Coach Riffey states, Clarissa is very resilient, smart, and a hardworking young lady. She either plans to attend the University of Texas or Texas State. Clarissa Garza, ladies and gentlemen.
Our last recognition for the night is a resolution recognizing our Goose Creek Memorial High School Marching Band. Philip Morgan, our Fine Arts Director, will present the resolution.
Thank you, Dr. Duarte. Congratulations to our scholar athletes. This resolution is recognizing the outstanding achievement of the Goose Creek Memorial High School Marching Band, which was awarded a first division rating at the University Interscholastic League Region 19 Marching Contest at Channelview Stadium on October 21st, 2017. This recognizes that the attainment of the award was a result of dedicated effort by members of the Goose Creek Memorial High School Marching Band and their teachers, Mr. Sean Schultz, Ms. Lisa Hughes, and Dr. Joshua Haggerty. The Board of Trustees of the Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District extends sincere congratulations to the students, the teachers, and the school. Your efforts have brought honor to you and to our school district. The Board of Trustees wishes for your continued success in the future. And as a side note as well, when we lost our headband director this year, it is worth noting, or last year rather, it is worth noting that the person who is here to be recognized, Ms. Lisa Hughes, stepped in over the summer and did a lot of work at the marching band camp, and the students really responded well, and she really committed and dedicated to that band, and they responded well to her and the new directors at the school. So in recognition of that, they were the only high school this year that took a first division at UIL. So congratulations to Goose Creek and Sullivan. Ms. Hughes, Dr. Haggerty, and Mr. Schultz are also under the principalship of, where did she go back there? I think. Right back there. Oh, Academic Dean, there you are. Hey, Mrs. Spites, sorry. Mrs. Spites and Ms. Susan Jackson. Congratulations again.
next item on the agenda is citizens' participation. This is the time that the board will hear any public concerns or public comments from those who have signed up to address the board. Before hearing such matters, I would remind each speaker that you are limiting your presentation to 5 minutes and that you should not identify any teachers, administrators, staff, or students by name in addressing your concerns or comments. Pursuant to state law and board policy BE legal, the board cannot consider or take action on your concerns at this meeting unless it pertains to an item on the posted agenda for this meeting. Any deliberation or decision on an item that is not posted for consideration at this meeting shall be limited to a proposal to place a subject on the agenda of a future meeting. We have 6 people signed up. All right. Who's the timekeeper? Mr. Laredo?
Yes.
All right. The first speaker is Mr. Brent Benoit. You'll be given 5 minutes with 1 minute to go. Mr. Laredo will give you notice if you use that much time. All right, the time is now yours, Mr. Benoit.
Thank you. My name is Brent Benoit, and I'm a parent of 2 students in this district. I'm here to address the proposal to consolidate the high schools in this district into a single mega school. Now, at the outset, I want to say that I know that we are all here to do what we think is best for the kids, and I don't mean for any of my comments to suggest otherwise. But this proposal is a monumental decision this board is rushing to decide on before conducting proper due diligence and planning to sufficiently consider viable alternatives. And that is very concerning because we may live with this decision for a very long time. I want to begin by addressing a statement made in the FAQs published by this board. In those FAQs, this board stated that, quote, there is no research to support that a mega school would have a negative impact on student achievement. Now, there's just no other way to say this other than this is just demonstrably false. The statement is surprising because the fact that such data exists was expressly mentioned in the board's workshop, and some expressing support of the mega school acknowledged research showing that additional campus transitions hurt student performance. Now, I'm sure that this was a mistake or an oversight of some sort, but this community has been left with the incorrect impression that there is no such data. The reality is that there is a mountain of studies and data that overwhelmingly and consistently find that larger schools hurt student achievement. In just a few hours of internet research, I have identified these studies, all of which conclude that larger schools hurt student achievement. Now, what makes this data alarming is that the negative effect is pronounced in schools with a lower socioeconomic profile and a higher percentage of minorities, which describes this district. And in a community like ours, the data shows that larger schools tend to also have other horrible effects, like increased dropout rates, increased violence, a lower sense of community, and decreased safety. These studies come from places like the state of North Carolina, the Education Policy Studies Laboratory at Arizona State University, the American Federation of Teachers, researchers at places like the University of Michigan and Stanford University, just to name a few. Some of the mega school examples cited, such as Allen, Plano, and Deer Park, are communities that are markedly different from ours, and we have no reason to believe that the students in these schools would be less successful in smaller schools. But there are other examples, like Victoria, which has a demographic profile almost identical to ours. Victoria consolidated its high schools into a single large school, and it was such a disaster, they were forced to pull those schools apart, costing the district tens of millions of dollars. I understand that some on the board hope that a consolidated school will be better, but it really is just that, a hope that is contradicted by the empirical evidence, especially in a school district like ours. And that should end this debate. There can be no higher goal for this board than student achievement, and there is simply no other goal that should trump that fundamental mission of this board. We are simply letting our kids down if we let that happen. This proposal would also reduce student opportunities and a host of extracurricular activities. There are only so many spots for students to meaningfully participate in these programs. Therefore, when we go from 3 schools to 1, we are kidding ourselves if we don't realize that these opportunities would be materially diminished. I know this board would like to drive extracurricular success, and sure, it's always nice to win, but at what cost? The educational value in these activities does not come from winning. It comes from the involvement of the student, the lessons in teamwork and discipline, and the mentorship and teacher-student relationships that are an important part of school and that may continue well past high school. And there are other costs. It's just a small example. The state provides valedictorians with the first-year waiver of tuition at state schools. We will now have one, not three. So every year we will be throwing away thousands of dollars in scholarship money that should have been available to our kids. Finally, I want to address the community reaction to this proposal. This board has held just 2 one-hour fora to solicit community reaction, and it has been overwhelmingly negative. Here tonight are many of your constituents that are here today to tell you that they do not want this proposal. I know you care about community, but our community is not enhanced by passing a proposal when the community is sending you a clear message that it does not want it. I know we all have good faith, and I know we're all trying to do what we think is right, but these things are so important, and they're going to have a decades-long effect on this community, and it deserves better. Thank you very much for the opportunity to address these points. I ask each of you to thoughtfully consider this data, this long list of empirical data and negative effects of the proposal, and do what's best for our kids. Reject this proposal.
And our next speaker will be Mr. Brad Benoit.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. My name is Brad Benoit, and I'm the father of 3 students in this district. And I want to thank you for the time to address you. In expressing my opposition to the consolidated high school proposal, I wanted to address a few of the reasons cited for considering a mega school. In light of the demonstrable negative impact that larger schools will have on academic performance and other measures of student well-being, I do not believe that any of these reasons would ultimately support a mega school. But the reality is the mega school is not the answer to the issues the board has raised. For example, one of the primary stated reasons the board is considering a mega school proposal is the current underutilization of the facilities at Lee High School. But the mega school would not be a more efficient use of facilities. Instead, because 9th and 10th grade would be split between Goose Creek Memorial and Lee, Goose Creek Memorial, which is the district's newest facility, would actually be underutilized to a similar percentage as Lee, while Lee would continue to be underutilized. Meanwhile, because all of the 12th and 11th grade students would go to Sterling, we would have to spend millions to expand the capacity at Sterling by a substantial percentage. And the end result will be inefficient utilization of existing facilities and tremendous cost to taxpayers. Another reason supposedly supporting the mega school is the continued disparity in population growth that exists in the northern part of town near Goose Creek Memorial relative to that in the southern part of town near Lee, and the difficulty associated with trying to redistrict to address that disparity. But let's be clear. The mega school will still require lines to be drawn between the 9th and 10th grade campuses. We cannot avoid that reality. And if population grows in the north, as is expected, there will be a need to address potential imbalances that growth would create as between these 2 9th and 10th grade campuses. Moreover, as population in the town increases, all of that population growth would squarely hit Sterling, as it has to house every 11th and 12th grader in the district. Whereas currently we can spread the impact of population growth among 3 high schools, if we go to this proposal, Sterling would face the task of accommodating every new 11th and 12th grade student in the district. There would be no other relief valve that would exist. The mega school is not a panacea to the challenges of population changes in our community, nor is it a proposal that avoids the need to draw district lines. One board member has expressed a sincere concern about the inequality of programs at the current schools. And I agree we should concern ourselves with these kind of issues if they exist. But the mega school is taking a sledgehammer to a problem when other tools are much more effective and less detrimental. If we redistrict so as to balance student populations, that I believe should go a long way towards addressing these issues. And to the extent there's more to be done, the district ought to use its resources to tackle those problems. The district is, in fact, putting in place innovative programs that are designed to improve student access. And we should use that creativity, and ingenuity to address these problems rather than upending our school system. A similar comment has been made that the mega school would increase access to CTE programs, but by using existing and presently planned facilities, we could accrue a lot less expense and still ensure these opportunities to our students in the current format. Finally, a few board members during the workshop, which I have listened to, expressed the hope that a mega school would unite our community. Personally, as a lifelong resident of our community, I have always considered our community to be a strong one. But even if we're to assume that there's a need for more cohesion in our community, there's really nothing to support that a mega school would provide that. It is pure conjecture that it would have that effect. The evidence from Victoria, as has been noted, a very similar community demographically to ours, is that consolidation of high schools created deep rifts in the community. But more to the point is this.
You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Unifying the community is simply not the mission of the district. It is to do everything possible to ensure student success. Our kids should not be guinea pigs in a social experiment. They deserve our focus on what will improve their education, and the mega school, by empirical study after empirical study, will do just the opposite. And so I implore you to reject this proposal and look for better solutions to address the challenges we face. And when we do that, our children will benefit from it. Thank you again for the time.
Our next speaker is Shay Qatar.
Hi, thank you. Like Brad and Brent, I grew up in this community. Actually, we all went to school together from James Bowie to Cedar Bio to Robert E. Lee. And like them, I'm not only a graduate of GCC ISD, but I'm also a father of 3 GCC ISD students. I work in this community, I live in this community, and I believe in this community. The first thing that really troubles me about the mega school proposal is, once again, the fact that the data that this is based on is not forward-thinking data. The problem we are told that this solves will easily be solved through the organic growth of the community, potentially aided by some slight rezoning as well. Rezoning is a necessary thing in any school district that's situated within a continuously growing community. I've already spoken of the Trinity Oaks subdivision, the master plan community going in at 99 and 146 that will bring 400 homes to the south side of town directly in line with the current Lee High School zone. In fact, on Trinity Oaks' own website, among their marketing points for this community, with homes starting at $250,000, they advertise that these homes will be zoned to Lee High School, touting it as having, quote, the most distinctions awarded in the district. 400 homes, yeah. 400 homes on that side of town will be a huge boon to that school. That, together with some rezoning, would fix this problem without spending the millions of dollars that we have already been told, and our student councils have already been told by the superintendent, that this would cost. And it's not just Trinity Oaks. We know also that there's a new community that's going up in Wallaceville, slated to have a new elementary school, making now 4 elementary schools in that area. Let's work to think long-term and not just react to immediate situations. This mega school is a reaction. It is not a strategy. Which brings up my second point that troubles me. In your meeting with the collective student councils, you told them that the reason behind this move was, in short, test scores. However, your very FAQs admit that students thrive better in smaller schools and that with the mega school model, students could get, quote, lost in the shuffle. These are your words, not mine. In the same FAQs, you speak of, quote, fewer leadership opportunities and that, quote, ESL and special ed populations would be adversely affected. Again, your words, not mine. So in a district that is 61% Hispanic, you're willing to barrel ahead with a plan that you already admit will adversely impact such a large portion of our community? Is this the message that you really want to send? I know that this will likely give us one amazing football team, maybe even one amazing choir or band, or one amazing set of top 10 students, but what about the rest? What about the other 2/3 of the football players who simply won't get to play? You can only have so many players on the field. 2/3 of the potential choir students who won't get to sing. The other 2/3 of our best and brightest who don't get those academic positions that we just celebrated earlier. Enabling them to have the future that they might otherwise not actually be able to have. Do you really want to sacrifice 2/3 of all the developmental opportunities for our next generation over a test scoring district grading system that we all know doesn't prepare our kids anyway? The STAR test doesn't help my kids learn to achieve their dreams and goals and make a better future. The mentoring, the time they have with teachers in these programs, the relationships they build, that's what helps them. The opportunities these kids get for playing and singing and other leadership opportunities are what help them. You've already admitted that the mega school system, fewer will get those opportunities. But let's be clear here. It's not just fewer. It's 2/3 fewer.
You have 1 minute.
That's what we're up against. The last thing that's troubled me about this proposal is the way in which it's happened. You've had 2 public forums. You've heard from many of us in the public about our concerns. You've even met last week for a workshop. But you still have yet to address the concerns that everyone has been bringing up for the last 2 weeks. Your FAQs are still unaltered and unmodified. We still don't have these answers, and now you've moved the voting up from April to February. This leaves us, the public, with the ones who have elected you to represent us, feeling like you're not listening at all. This is irresponsible at best and misguided at best. We deserve answers, and our kids deserve answers. Our kids deserve better than just hoping things work out.
Our next speaker is Mr. Brian Walenta.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say the last 3 speakers have been absolutely spot on. But I'm not here to speak about mega schools. Good evening. I rise one last time this evening to speak out against the proposed start times for GCCISD. As I do so, I remember that this idea has been talked about for 2 years now, and it has gained no more in-district support than it had at that time. The people have heard the cost of this to be anywhere from $5 to $8 million for new buses and routes, additional bus drivers, increased annual costs, and added stress to parents, students, and faculty alike. You heard from teachers and parents how they would look elsewhere for their students to go or where they will teach. You have heard survey reports that shows students do not want this idea, and at Lee alone, 68% of students said they will not participate in extracurricular activities. You have heard from Goose Creek Memorial, where 70% teachers said that they would look at other districts. You have heard from only one real known outside supporter that late times will do everything from decreased diabetes, meningitis, depression, and at one time was mentioned also cancer. I have heard this, and I have a very hard time believing that. This board first looked at the chance for the idea as far as better attendance and achievement, but the school districts that they looked at showed no real increase in either. Certainly not enough to justify any of the cost associated with the change. We were recently told that Houston ISD changed their start times. Please let me point out that it was not for attendance nor for achievement, but the fact that HISD had 67 different start times in their district, and that had to stop. Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District does not even have 67 schools. The board spoke of adding a 0 period to the day. Again, won't that defeat the very purpose that we're talking about? Plus, there will be an added cost to budget and salary in the budget. I know that it was said that a teacher could leave after 7th period. But what about faculty meetings, or department meetings, or PLC time, or other activities that all teachers are needed at? Will they just be excused from those activities? I know that this board will vote the way that they wish to on this matter, but wouldn't it be nice to know that our elected representatives of the people took into account what a clear majority of the people wanted them to do? Thank you very much.
Our next speaker, and I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm going to ruin your last name, but it's Jacob Noaces. Did I butcher it? Okay. How do you pronounce it right so I can correct it? Nizer. Mr. Jacob Nizer.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jacob Nizer, and I'm a junior at Sterling High School. And I'm here to tell you about the mega school and its effects on our special education programs. At Sterling, I'm a member of the PALS program. And while I can't speak for every PALS student and the official program itself, let me tell you what I've personally learned from being in the PALS program. PALS, which stands for Peer Assistant Leadership, is an amazing program that pairs junior and senior students with other district elementary students. And we also get the privilege to work with the special education students at the junior high and high school. We work with these students all year long, and we form bonds with them and become very close to them. They mean a lot to us. And that's the main reason why I'm here. I know the FAQs you put out mention that the mega school concept will adversely affect special education students, and I believe that you're correct. One of the main goals of special education is to integrate these students with their peers, so they need to be with other students their own age. So with the proposal of the mega school, they would spend 6 years in elementary, 3 years in junior high, 2 years in 9th and 10th grade campus, and then move on to the mega school. Now for most people, change and transition can be very difficult. However, for a special education student, it could be nearly devastating. With the mega school, you've added an additional transition to the 9th and 10th grade campus. And that's hard for them, and it's hard to cope with. Being in the PALS program has taught me that making a connection with many special education students takes time and a lot of patience. It just can't happen overnight. It could take months and even longer. When you split high school into 2 levels, where you have 2 years at the 9th and 10th grade campus and move on to the mega school, you're causing these kids and their teachers to lose precious time on the process of adjusting to one another. Just as a student teacher might finally connect and bond and start making progress, you're asking them to leave the campus and start all over again in the mega school. And that's just unfair. You know, in the past few years at Sterling High School, our student body has voted for a special education student to be the prom queen and prom king. I'm proud that our students did that. However, I wonder if we had a mega school, if that would happen again. I don't know about that. The fact that we are in a smaller school and that these kids attend school, they're starting at 9th grade, which helps us know them. And when you have 2,800 students all competing for the top spots and leadership roles in activities, that may limit who can participate. Everybody's going to want to win something. Homecoming or prom king and queen may be the only award that the mainstream students can have or show on their college applications. So our student body may not consider voting for a special education student for that reason. If you keep our original 3 smaller schools, special education students will be able to start high school at 9th grade and stay on that campus for 4 more years, keeping them in a consistent environment that is so important for them educationally, emotionally, and socially. That's all I have to say, and I thank you for taking the time to allow me to be the voice for those who cannot speak for themselves, for those students that you have admitted will adversely be affected by the mega school. Please vote to keep the smaller campus on, and think about each and every student. Thank you.
Good evening. My name again is Yen Rabe. I'm the Houston area chapter leader of the national organization Start School Later with more than 100 chapters nationwide. We work to bring awareness to chronic teen sleep deprivation, a nationwide epidemic. I am as well a high school teacher, and I see firsthand the consequences of sleep deprivation. As you make your decision tonight, please put students' health, academics, and safety as your priorities. HISD has already changed their start time for the next school year to a start time of 8:30 for all of their middle and high schools, a time that aligns with the recommendations by the American Academy of Pediatrics and Centers for Disease Control, as well as numerous other medical organizations. And Texas City ISD high schools this year starts at 8:35 a.m. for their high schools. When school starts at 7:15, approximately 90% of the students do not get the recommended 8 to 10 hours of sleep. What are the effects of sleep loss? More automobile accidents, sports injuries, increased depression, suicidal ideation, and substance abuse, poor attention, problem solving, and academic performance, increased risk-taking, more school-based violence, lowered immune functioning, increased insulin response, increased inflammatory response, risk of obesity, risk of diabetes, and risk of heart disease. On the other hand, studies have found that when middle and high schools switch to a later start time, students' health and grades improve. There is a link between later start time and a reduction in sports injury and car crashes involving teens. It does not appear to reduce the amount of time students spent engaged in after-school sports and other activities. There can be more parental supervision after school when school starts later. The benefits to cost analysis is 9-to-1, according to a Brookings Institute study. A later start time does not guarantee that all teens will get adequate sleep, but not changing the start time will guarantee that students will not get the sleep they need. To ensure that students get adequate sleep along with a later start time, we recommend that the district work with parents to implement an electronic media device curfew for cell phones, tablets, video games, and TVs. Board members, we count on you to have the courage to make this decision based on data and research, not for what is convenient for adults and teachers, but what is best for students. Starting school later may not be the popular decision, but it is the right decision. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our citizens' participation. To thank all speakers who participated this evening. The next item on the agenda is to go to a closed session for reorganization of the Board of Trustees. All right, we'll break to closed session at 7:39 p.m. Board to come out of closed session. My gavel will not stay where it's supposed to stay. All right, the next item on the agenda is reorganization of the Board of Trustees. At this time, we will take nominations for President of the Board.
I nominate Pete Poppy for President of the Board.
Second.
We have a motion or nomination from Ms. Oh, wow.
Can we hold up my name tag?
No.
He's tired.
Jessica Woods, thank you. And we have a second by Augustine Laredo. All right. All in favor? So raise your right hand. Okay. We have. Did you work out? Okay. We have 5 in favor. Any nays? And any abstention? 1 abstain. All right. We will now make or take nominations for Vice President.
I'd like to nominate Augustine Laredo as Vice President of the GCC ISD Board.
All right. Howard has nominated Augustine Laredo as vice president. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second from Jessica Woods. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any nay? Abstain? All right, okay. Five in favor, 0 no's, 1 absent, 1 abstain. I will take nominations for secretary.
I'd like to make the motion, Ms. Jessica Woods for secretary.
We have a motion for Jessica Woods for secretary. Do we have a second? We have a second by Ben Poppy. All in favor, raise your right hand. All in favor, abstain. Nay, and 1 absent. Take nominations for assistant secretary.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Howard Sampson.
Augustine Laredo has nominated Howard Sampson. Do we have a second? We have a second from Mr. Ben Poppy. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any no? Any abstain? All right, 1 absent. All right, now I think we need to do our little shuffle. Move all the name badge tags around and shuffle seats. President,
you gotta take your box. You gotta take your box.
I think Howard's been in that chair for 3 years. Welcome to the other side of the room, Howard.
I know.
Mr. Sampson, bring your name tag. I was going to leave it here for who else. I get to be around. That's been up 3 years.
There's 3 years worth of paper clips down there too.
Would you like a hand with that?
Okay, all right.
All right, welcome and congratulations to everybody in their new offices. Do we have a motion for the next item on the agenda? Approval of minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes from the January 8th regular board meeting.
We have a motion by Ms. Woods.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Ricky Clem. Any discussion on the minutes? No discussion. All in favor, raise your right hand. Regular. Okay. All right. We have five in favor. Any nay? Abstain? And 1 absence. Next item, action items. Do we have a next item is that's you, right?
We have action item 8A is consideration of school start times. And the recommended action of administration is to approve school start times. The rationale based upon research that supports high school students starting school at a later time. The board will consider options or parameters to adjust school start time for the 2018-19 school year. In your packet, you see the current school start time and an alternate start time.
This is another option that we saw last meeting.
Yes. The last, going off memory, we had an hour 15-minute between the elementaries, A and B, 7:30 and 8:45. This one is one of the original three, I think it was number 3 from maybe 2 meetings ago. This is the 7:30 elementary, 8 elementary, 8:30 high school, 9 o'clock, 9:15 junior school. If I remember correctly, when we met last time, there were some questions and concerns about the elementary being an hour 15 minutes apart, and I know administration has those same concerns were expressed to the superintendent by the principals at a meeting shortly afterwards. So as such, we brought back tonight just the one that we had talked about that still kept the 4-tier system. Just open for discussion. The way it's worded, we can change any start time if so desired. But this is one that was just brought because we felt it had the most support of the ones that we previously discussed.
So this one,
Do you have issues? Technical?
Sorry.
Technical issues, yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to re-log in here. This is not, oh, it's me. Okay. What pages are we on?
23 to 24 on action item 8A.
See if my board will come up.
I'll give everybody a few minutes to actually get logged in.
do we need a log out down here before he logs into another one? No? Okay.
Mine's not coming up like yours. Did you ever check? I had to, yeah, I had to log back in over here. Yeah, see, my board was not coming up today. I clicked on this and it's crazy. I don't know that. Where's my, yeah, where's my, yeah.
Are you having trouble logging into your email? Oh, because I had to log into Chrome. And then I clicked on
Yeah, this is
All right, everybody good?
All right.
I know that we talked a little bit last time we were here. I think Ms. Barbe even answered a few questions about it. Switching from the 7.5 hour to the 7 1/4 day, it was brought up that we could add a couple of days at the beginning of the year and a couple at the end to help cut down on some of this time difference between shorten the day up just a little bit so they weren't staying after so long. Because it looks like this alternate start time schedule that's been proposed moves the junior school from release at 4:20 to 4:45. Now, while that's only 25 minutes different, we still are trying to get people home at a decent time, and of course travel to UIL events. Was that not something that was worked on, considered?
Well, it has the asterisk on the previous page, on page 24. Yeah.
Right, and we discussed that. Is that something that the administration team is considering looking at in order to adjust these times, tweak them a little? Or is this the proposal of the administration?
This is the proposal as it is, but we understood the direction to be to allow for variances and options for the board to consider under this format. And that's why those asterisks were included.
I think I remember it the same way you do, though. We said there were, not only were we addressing when to start, but we didn't want to be going to school this late as well. And if you just go through our calendar as it exists for this current year, you can find 6 days to go to school instead of holidays or PLC days or different stuff that we're doing an awful lot of, where we could go 7.25 hours. And I know the junior school kids in my neighborhood, their bus drops them off at 5 o'clock, which is, 40 minutes after they're let out from Gentry. So I assume they'll be getting home at 5:30 now, and they're not the last ones off that bus.
Assuming we don't shorten the day.
Yeah, assuming we don't shorten the day. And since we're all sitting here staring, I think everybody here knows that I've asked where the research came from, and I was pointed at the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics. This all seemed, on the CDC side, I found mention of some of the research in a report on August the 7th, which the CDC kind of aligns themselves with the American Academy of Pediatrics recommendation was that middle school and high school should aim for a start time of no earlier than 8:30 a.m. So I went and tried to find where that research was. It goes on to say, however, a late school start time does not preclude the need for other interventions that have the potential to improve the sleep of adolescents. Healthcare providers who treat adolescents both in and outside of school settings should educate patients and parents about the importance of adequate sleep, as well as factors that contribute to insufficient sleep among adolescents. Parents can help their children practice good sleep hygiene, habits that help promote good sleep. A regular bedtime, a regular rise time. In general, it encourages good parenting. And to, as Ms. Rabi said tonight, put the electronic devices away and turn the lights off. So I tried to find where that research came from, and I found that the University of Oxford with Harvard Medical School and the University of Nevada did, along with sleep research teams, that school start time should be 8:30 or later for age 10, 10 o'clock or later for age 16, and 11 o'clock or later for age 18. Well, we're gonna hit one of them, but it's in the wrong place. And I went, okay, well that's good. And then in March of last year, the same Harvard Medical School did some more research about all this, and their research in March of last year says they predict that turning down the lights and putting away electronics would be much more effective at tackling sleep deprivation than delaying school start time. So they're all contradicting themselves.
There's a lot of research out there. It's
this?
But those are the sets of research I've been pointed to by the folks presenting research to us.
One thing from my side is there's a fine line between governance and there's a fine line between, the way I look at this is I think the board's role is to set the parameters. It's the administration's role to come up with the exact specifics of the schedule. If you want to come to us with with DOI at a later time or whatever, or change your calendar, whether it's DOI or not, that is fine. The way I look at it is our role as a board is to govern, is to set the parameters. I mean, we have talked about schedules all day long. I don't really think that's our role as a board. Our role as a board is to set the parameters, give the directive to the administration, let administration come back what they feel is in the best interest, that meets the parameters that we give them. So my hopes in those comments were that we don't continue to meet and have alternate next schedule A, B, C, D. Would like to see the board look at potentially giving the administration the direction of, start at a certain time, not have something start past that, and then sit back and let the administration go and meet with their staff, meet with their principals, meet with their each campus PTOs and their parents, and then come back and put something together that they can bring back to the board. The board doesn't have to approve. The board just, as long as it meets the parameters that we set.
So if that parameter is start high school at 8:30, this is the recommendation the board the administration would make. If that is the parameter, this is the one we've narrowed down to that has the least impact on the most student body. As you said, we've looked at a dozen or so. This is the one administration would recommend if the parameter is start high school at 8:30. This is the one we recommend.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Well, I would make a motion that administration would develop a school start time schedule which meets the criteria that no campus starts before 7:30 a.m. and that the traditional high schools start at or after 8:15 a.m. It should be effective for 2018-2019 school year and beyond, and that it will be provided by administration to the board no later than the first board meeting in May 2018 for consideration.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. Ms. Jessica Wood, we have a second from Mr. Augustine Laredo. Do you have any discussion?
Could you read that again, please? Read that again.
I make a motion that the administration would develop a school start time schedule which meets the criteria that no campus starts before 7:30 a.m. and traditional high schools start at or after 8:15 a.m. effective for the 2018-2019 school year and beyond, and that this will be provided to the board by administration no later than the first board meeting in May 2018.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Do we have any further discussion?
The only other discussion that I would like to throw out there is that administration should maybe consider the 7 1/4 or the 7-hour school day, that we have days on the calendar available to shorten that time frame on the daily schedule and get our days in, get our minutes in.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor of the motion by Ms. Woods, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Against? 1 against, and 1 absent. All right, next item on the agenda is consideration of consent agenda.
Action item 8B, consideration of consent agenda is number 1 is resolution to approve compensating employees for workdays missed due to inclement weather on Tuesday, January 16th through Wednesday, January 17th, 2018. Number 2 is Time Texas Community Challenge Health Awareness Campaign resolution by the board. Number 3 is tax refunds. Number 4 is consideration of superintendent's expenditures. Administration recommends approval of these consent agenda items.
All right, do we have any, anybody want any items on the consent agenda pulled? So, do we have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move to approve all items.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Clem to approve all items. Do we have a second?
Can I ask a question?
Let me get a second, we can
Okay.
discussion. Okay. Second. Oh, second from Mr. Ben Poppy. Discussion. Howard?
On the first one, Margie, it's not going to make any difference because they were going to get paid anyhow if they were there anyhow, right? On the compensation for the missed days. So this item 1 is for staff only?
Money for hourly employees.
Huh?
Hourly employees. Contract employees will get paid anyway, but they're covered. It's just allowing, we're not getting, I'm sorry, the CFO and he's coming out. Marty, do you want to continue to answer this question? It's hard to get the CFO out of it.
Cash outflow and what would have been paid had we worked that day. But rather than the employee come make up that time, when we've already had other time we've missed during the year, and it's really not a lot to cover, I don't guess, make-up days.
I think the rationale is helpful. The district authorizes administration to compensate all employees for days when the district was closed due to inclement weather and winter storm conditions. This serves an important public purpose in that continued retention of such employees shall enable the school district to continue efficient operation of educational activities.
And as long as we meet the minutes, we get the same amount of funding from the state, so we're not penalizing the funding side. Does that answer your question, Howard?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. We have a first. We have a second. All in favor? Raise your right hand. Unanimous. No nays and 1 absent. All right. Next action item. Is it you or me? That's me. Future board agenda items, board training, and board meetings. Do we have any future board agenda items any of the members of the board would like to see?
Yeah, I'd like to see a presentation on the assessment calendar, and I'd like it to include any dates that have been added, such as the new interim assessment that's come out from the state, which were not on the original assessment calendar. And I'd like to be able to see that before we vote on next year's instructional calendar.
All right. Do we have any other?
Just for the record, it was something that Al answered the other night, but in reference to the Green Center, if anything does, I'd like to be able to have that as a board item to make sure that the name follows whatever facility it goes to.
Do we have any other future agenda items at this time? Okay. Any board training? Is there something March 1 through 3? No, Amy?
Governance.
Board governance in Galveston?
I'll send y'all the sessions as soon as they're available.
Is that it for board training? Board meetings?
We said we're firm on February 1st for the next workshop on the bond.
Workshop?
Yeah.
Or a special meeting?
I think it was a workshop.
We may include both if needed.
Yeah, I think there may be one action item that would require a vote. So if that's the case, it'll be a special meeting.
Okay.
Either way, it'll be a workshop / special meeting.
We're
and
on
that
for
will
the
be
first.
that will be to review the bond package that was given to us on that first.
Right. Yeah, because we didn't have enough time to really study.
All right, we do not need to go to closed meeting for personnel. We did that when we were back there earlier.
So at this time, administration would recommend 8F, consideration of personnel. We recommend that you approve elections and accept resignations as presented.
Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve and accept as presented.
We have a motion from Ms. Woods. We have a second. Second. We have a second from Mr. Clem. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. No nays, one absent. Okay, you did resignations. Oh, okay. With that being said, 8:57, we adjourn the meeting of the Board of Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees. Jessica, all right, unanimous. Now I officially adjourn the board meeting. I appreciate you not letting me, keeping me on the line, man.